Hey students, before we get started with the show, I wanted to ask for your help. I'm currently producing my third term film, The Editor, which will be my final project at the Harold Ramis Film School, and I'm fundraising to cover some of the costs of the production. I would love it if you would check out my Indiegogo at igg.me/at/theeditorfilm, which you can also just click on in the notes for today's show, and donate if you can, but even if you can't, please share the link on your social media accounts. I would very much appreciate it. All right, cue the music. Welcome to episode 40 of the Film Student Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Lazzeroni. My guest this week is Matt Haas from the Yellow Cohort. We discuss directing versus showrunning for TV, Matt's upcoming show at the Second City, and the amazing schedule of guest speakers we have lined up for this week at HRFS. On with the show.
I actually went to the first open house for the Harold Ramis Film School and wanted to apply from that moment, but I didn't feel like I had material that was good enough to get me into this prestigious school.
Okay.
So I started working on my craft and trying to get better at it. And of course,
Was that filmmaking? Was that stand-up? Was that...
filmmaking, that was when I did a little bit of improv at the time, but mostly filmmaking, and I was trying to get my improv troupe to do all of my acting for it, and people don't like to act for free. So it was...
This is a recurring problem for most of us.
It was hard to get them to show up all the time, so eventually I got some like practice films done and some things that I was happy with, and then I started working on my Harold Ramis application.
Yeah.
And when I finally sent one in, I got accepted that time.
What was in your application?
I did a VH1 Behind the Music parody.
Okay.
About an 80s rock band called Tyrannosaurus Sex.
Okay.
And the lead singer overdoses because of his pudding addiction. And it's like a look back, like there's older people playing the surviving band members.
Yeah.
And they like talk about the good old days and stuff like that.
Okay. And who'd you do? Were they still doing for the writing sample? Did you still have to write about your comedic influences? That's what mine was.
Yeah. We had 3 options that we could choose from, and I kind of cheated and took like an essay. I was in a film class at the time, and I took an essay from that and like transformed it a little bit. Like an essay I had got like a 99% or something on. I was really happy with it. And I transformed a little bit of the essay into the prompt that they wanted.
Yeah.
And pretty much I just shit on parody films. Can I swear?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just shit on parody films because they fucking suck.
Yeah.
Like, not all of them, obviously. Like, I'm a huge Mel Brooks fan, and like it peaks at Scary Movie for me.
Okay.
And
Mel Brooks also gets into that's like parody satire combo, like that, because especially like Blazing Saddles is brilliant, and there's but so much of it is just the satire, and the parody's just thrown in for like extra little easy jokes along the way.
True. Yeah, it's that straight up parody film that's like, let's make a movie and then put movie at the end of the title and then squeeze 40 movie references in
Somehow, yeah.
and that's the plot of the film. So that's what my essay was about.
Were you so you said you went to the first open house. Are you from this area originally, or?
I'm from Southwest Michigan, and I honestly can't even remember how the information came to me. Maybe it was an email. I had recently seen my first show at Second City. I had like come out here from Michigan, and again, it was like the same time that I had started doing improv in Michigan at community college, and did a little bit of sketch writing and some filmmaking and stuff like that at a really beginner stage.
Yeah.
And came out to Second City because I was just then discovering, like, oh, people from Saturday Night Live used to do improv. They're connected and things like that. So I came and saw a show, and within a matter of like 2 months, I'm not certain how, but I found out about the open house and came out for it.
Gotcha.
That's
it's like Saturday Night Live. Is that like kind of your path? Do you want to be the performer, creator, or?
I'm much more of a writer in my head. Yeah, I struggle with, like, I enjoy acting. It's fun. I enjoy improv a lot more than like acting.
Right.
So I don't think so. I think if I wound up on SNL and I had a choice, I would rather just write, maybe do like some update bits or something like that, rather than like doing like a week worth of makeup, costume.
Is your sensibility more towards like sketch and that sort of thing, or do you tend to be like longer form?
Longer form, yeah. I do enjoy sketch writing a lot, but right now I'm focusing a lot of my energy towards practicing long form writing, like writing for series and features.
Nice. Have you started like ideas for a final project? Because I'd heard you'll have to start pitching soon for what you would want to do for like a final written project. And it's scary.
It is.
I can see the fear on your face now.
Yeah. we had the Fisher Quick Pitch Day.
Yeah.
And Jim Fisher, Second City alumni, came in and he discussed with us our pitches and gave us some tips and things like that. And I made the very rookie mistake in my pitch of not saying at the beginning, this is a series. So I pitched my idea, and he was giving me solutions that I didn't feel like they fit, and I didn't think I was getting what I needed out of this thing, and I was a little disappointed. And like 10, 15 minutes later, somebody else pitched something that I knew was a series, but he then called it a feature. So I raised my hand, and I was like, hey, to clarify between the two of you, you're talking about a series, right? But you're talking about a feature?
Yeah.
And then Kat let it be known that we should say that at the beginning of the pitch. What before you say your idea, say what your idea is.
It's there's a lot here that's kind of meant to give you just enough rope to hang yourself. Like,
that's
where you're going to make the mistake, but there's no way to prepare you for every possibility ahead of time. You just kind of have to make the mistake, and like that's why it's a school. Like, just make the mistake, get it over with, and move on. When I did the Fisher, we did the Fisher workshop that was together. It was Cyan and Magenta grouped together for it. And one of my classmates, like, because I did my pitch for what I actually wound up writing for my term 3, and I did my pitch for it, and the pitch, we got Jim Fisher later than we were supposed to, so the pitch was like after we'd already kind of started putting together other materials for it. Like, we've kind of gotten past pitch, and then we went back to pitching, and so I'd already put like a lot of work into it and figured out most of the story. And so my pitch changed a little bit. And when I pitched it, it was like, oh, it doesn't really work. And then he just started throwing out like all these other ideas for something that I already had like the outline for. And so one of my classmates took a picture of me just looking miserable while I'm listening to a room full of people pitch out ideas to fix the thing that wasn't done yet. That was like, you know, that was already kind of laid out, but wasn't written yet. So those classes they can be tough. But hopefully, like, at least the basis of it, just the pitch format and being able to put that together was helpful for you.
Oh, definitely. The school, like you said, like it's you're blindfolded and they're guiding you down a set of stairs. Like, you're gonna fall, but there's enough people around you that care about you to keep you from like really hurting yourself. Yeah. You're just gonna get really scared for a second. You're still hitting that next step, but you're like gonna freak out between one step to the next.
Yeah.
It was still so helpful, and failing is the best way to learn, I think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why they have you do so many projects, even when people aren't really ready to start making things. Like term 1, they just come in immediately and they're like, "Here's a nonfiction piece. Just go make this." And you're like, "I've never done anything like that before." They're like, "Doesn't matter. Just go make it. We'll see what works."
That seems to be like the theme here. See what works.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, that's okay. But if it did, you found something that works for you that you wouldn't have found without exploring these new boundaries.
Well, they eventually get you into trying to find your comedic voice, which is, I think, really a unique part of this. Is every other school that I've ever done any kind of writing stuff or anything like that, was more about writing within a given format or with a given angle or something like that. It wasn't about finding your format, finding your angle, finding your delivery method. And that's the tough thing, is that they can't just have somebody read your stuff or watch you in class and be able to say, you're this kind of writer. Like, you have to kind of find that for yourself. And it's just through that trial and error, reiteration, just make more and more stuff until you find that path.
Yeah, certainly. The thing that impresses me most about this school program is that you're encouraged to do new things, but that's a lot of places. You're encouraged to support each other, but that's a lot of places. You're encouraged to fail, and that's less places. Mm-hmm. But the real standout thing is, like you said, like shaping you as an individual. How do you fit into what you want to do? Not how can we fit you into what you want to do. You're a puzzle piece, and you fit in this puzzle just somewhere, and we need to figure out where that is. We're not going to force you into the wrong spot.
Right. And it's interesting too, because I think people learn different things based on their cohort, and the people that you're around, because you're going to pick up things that you like or don't like from what they do, mm-hmm. and that will end up influencing what you end up creating in the long run too. How is Yellow so far?
I love Yellow.
Yeah.
A very nice group of people. Yeah. We had our first group shoot. We split off to shoot the improvised movie.
Yeah.
And it was a learning experience for sure.
So was it like 2 units doing the same movie, or was it...
Same theme. We split our 15 people into 2 groups, an 8 group and a 7-person mm-hmm. group. And then we went out and shot with the same theme for both groups.
Okay.
We haven't edited yet, but in editing, those 2 groups are split into 4. So that way each film will have 2 cuts.
Interesting. We didn't have that project. So that's something, at least not with that reiteration.
Okay.
And part of that was, I think, because there were 2 cohorts, and also because both of our cohorts were 12 people. So so we didn't have the same like number breakdown that you all have to be able to go that size with it. Yeah, the cohorts have fluctuated from, I think, 11 to 16 or something like that in total numbers, and I think the next one coming in is supposed to be 14 or 15 as well, but that'll be Violet. Heard that here first.
Interesting. You heard it first.
No, I'm sure somebody else said it anyway. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for that. We'll find out. Julie will tell me, stop announcing things beforehand. It wasn't an announcement. It's just stupid color.
Speaking of announcements beforehand, we have an exciting week.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it this week. I'm excited about it every time we get cool guests coming in.
So by the time that you're listening to this, it's a good chance when you're listening to this, we're probably meeting Judd Apatow coming in.
Yeah.
Because that's supposed to happen tomorrow. And then we also have Debbie Liebling from Comedy Central coming in. Mm-hmm. She's behind a ton of stuff over the course of her career, like South Park and Idiocracy and just crazy, crazy big stuff. And Holly Wartell coming in for a workshop in the middle of the week to do writing for late night shows, that sort of thing.
It's always impressive to me when I discover somebody that I know who they are.
Yeah,
like Debbie Liebling. Yeah. I recognize that name from my childhood, and then it was like until I heard it within the last couple weeks, I was like, well, I've heard that name before, but it's not registering who. Google search, find out, and then everything clicks, and it's so cool when that happens.
Yeah.
That happened with Jim Fisher. Jim Fisher worked on
Rugrats.
Oh, did he really?
That was Fisher? Yeah, Fisher was Rugrats, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's right. So Jim that was on Rugrats? I'd have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah. He's one of the writers for that. Or not Rugrats. No, was it What am I thinking of? No, Bobby's World.
Bobby's World.
That's what it was, not Rugrats. I'm sorry.
that blew my mind too. Bobby's World was one of my favorites when I was young, and we are mid-discussion with him, and he just starts dropping Howie Mandel's name while working on this cartoon about a character he came up with.
Yeah.
And I think I was the only person in the room that remembered Bobby's World, but I had that ear-to-ear smile going on. I slowly raised my hand, and I was like, are you talking about Bobby's World right now? And, you know, he got the grin too, and he was like, yeah, that's the show.
Yeah.
And so cool when that happens. It's really an inspiration.
Yeah. And also to find out the people that are behind this stuff, that they're not larger than life. I think there's a certain thought process that's like, oh, to be that funny or to create that thing that everybody's, you know, has in their childhood or something like that, like you have to be this larger than life personality, and a lot of times they're not, you know. They're just another person to hang out and talk to. I love when we get why am I blanking on his name from Mad TV coming in,
Dick
Basucci. Yeah. I love when we get Dick in, because he's just such a nice, like, affable dude, and it's like, oh, you show ran Mad TV, this, you know, genre bending crazy show that was on TV for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And he's not unapproachable.
He's sitting in a room with us students, giving us notes on our sketches, when he used to sit in a room with John Candy and give notes on the sketches.
Exactly.
And then Keegan-Michael Key, and now us.
Yeah. It's insane to put that together, and but it's cool too to realize, oh, it's not that far removed.
Yeah, it brings the levels closer together when they seem so much further apart.
Yeah.
Before that moment.
So what were your influences coming in? Like what's your comedy diet look like?
It's a healthy comedy pyramid of Dan Harmon,
okay,
Tina Fey, Rebecca Sugar, and
I'm not familiar with that one. What's
Steven Universe, creator and a longtime writer of Adventure Time.
Isn't there? There's an overlap with that and some other show, and it might be. It's not. Is it Rick and Morty?
Rick and Morty has a tie-in. This is where I get. This is my nerd section.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty has a tie-in with Gravity Falls, a Disney
That's
XD
what it was.
show.
Yeah.
And there was a third one. So I think it wasn't regular show, but it was an alt that a different show that was picked up, or that regular show was picked up instead of. But there were 3 shows that were all gonna like have
be
this
on at the same time, and they were gonna reference one another.
Yeah.
Now that's coming back. I remember that.
It's like a portal where different elements from one show pop up from. It's like from Rick and Morty, or from Gravity Falls, like a hat and notepad shows up in Rick and Morty.
Which is just funny to think of, like, the audiences that they're going for completely different.
Absolutely, yeah, a Disney show and an Adult Swim show. But at the same time, Rick and Morty has kind of pulled that thread of like, some elderly people can enjoy this show, and then the millennial generation, and then I don't know what the next generation's called.
Yeah, I don't know what's supposed to be after millennials. They'll figure it out, and they'll rename it like
the
8
end
times.
generation.
There was one time I thought it was supposed to be like Generation Y, and then found out I'm apparently on the old end of millennials. Because I was 83, and I think it's 1980 and later supposedly.
Welcome, then. I welcome you to the millennials.
It's a I'm not gonna say unfortunate group, but it's a weird group to be a part of.
We have
on the
strength
older end.
in numbers.
But no, it's I don't know what they're gonna do for the next generation. That's weird. I hadn't even thought
I think
about
they
that.
call them the Revelation generation.
They're bringing around Revelations.
Yes,
Is that what you're saying?
the end of the world is here.
The end of the world is nigh. Well, so what's the end goal for you coming out of this program? What do you want to do in the long run?
Long run,
to ask you the graduation style question that everybody gets when they get towards the end of school.
As I stand before you all here today, I just
practicing your valedictorian speech already.
I would really like to create my own television series and have enough success with those that I could then shoot a few features as well. But I think my heart is in series at the moment. I like diving into characters, and I like diving into plot, but I really like building some strong characters and just letting them live in a world that people enjoy to participate in.
Yeah.
So
So have you ever written a pilot before?
I have, yes. I'm to bring it. I don't even know if I answered the question earlier. You asked me about my final project, and I just had that scared face, and we went into that conversation. I'm thinking about shooting a pilot that I've been working on for a web series for my final project. But
Okay.
I don't know if I'm biting off more than I can chew.
Okay.
And
What's are you willing to pitch it, or
yeah,
since you're practicing pitches, I mean, you might as well.
Hands is a comedy drama set in the world of local theater about an existential stagehand who is an aspiring television writer working at a bankrupting theater dealing with an impetuous director and an eclectic cast.
Okay. All right. What's the existential? Was that the just existential crisis that they're having with their own life, or?
It's not necessarily a crisis. It's a character trait. It's just the way this person views the world.
Okay.
My main character is Native American, and they live with their best friend who's African American. And these two, without too commonly referencing race as the root of a lot of their problems, it's the root of a lot of their problems.
Okay.
The show deals with a lot of power dynamics, and I try to not be too in your face about it, but it's there. And I think that in my mind, that has led to two different people that lived very similar lives, and one is very positive about all these situations, and one is very negative about the same situations.
Okay. Have you ever seen Empire Records?
I have not.
You might watch that. The Lucas character sounds drifting towards where you're where you're thinking. He's like
Empire Records?
Yeah. He's like one of the main characters, and I think it's on Netflix or something at the moment. You can get it. But yeah, it's an older movie. It's Liv Tyler's in it, and Ethan Embry, and I feel like there's 2 or 3 others that I'm blanking on at the moment. But no, it's a good one. But that character sounds like in that vein, kind of. So interesting.
Do you ever write something and then, because this happens 10 million times a year to me, you write something and then you pitch it to somebody and they're like, oh, that's this.
Yes, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Is what they've gotten us into here is the stand. There's a certain point where relatability is marketability. So if you can tie it back to something else, and this is another pitch format that they're going to have you work on, is this idea of it's this meets this. And so you'd be able to say, it's I have a pilot that I wrote for a show called Time Bar, and it's Quantum Leap meets It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And me just saying that, you now have an idea of that world, but it's entirely based on what you know about those two shows and how they blend together. So if I pitch it to somebody, they would say, oh, it's happening like Quantum Leap, or oh, they're a group just like Always Sunny. Yes, the answer is yes to both of those. But that inherently, those were two shows that were both very popular. Quantum Leap ran for a number of years. Always Sunny still in its prime. That's something I can easily draw from and say, here's what makes it marketable, is that it's like these other things that people already like, but because they're mashed together, it's something completely new.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that is very true. It happens more with sketches, that it's very specific. Like it's a lot harder to, if you have a similar sketch to something that somebody else has put out. I see it happen a lot on SNL, honestly, where they have a sketch on there that's so close to something else, but there's only so many thoughts in the world about a certain thing, and it's very likely that 10 years after The Whitest Kids You Know put out a sketch about Call of Duty, that Saturday Night Live comes out with the same sketch about Fortnite without ever seeing it. Right.
Well, and even if they had seen it, it still doesn't make it non-relevant,
Right.
If you go back to the shows days with Sid Caesar, they would do the same sketch year after year after year, just repeating it, but updating it slightly and tweaking it slightly and making it more relevant to the current day and inserting, recent news footage and stuff like that into it. that doesn't make it non-relevant. It makes it just more relevant to whatever's on.
Right. I think that as a writer, my feelings would be hurt if I wrote an outstanding bit for a television show and then they fired me, but 2 years later they're still running my bit or something. And like that's never happened to me, but just
there's that fear.
Yeah, there's that fear. That's my biggest fear.
Kat will eventually beat into you the idea that you're going to get something stolen. Like there's no avoiding it. Somebody will seemingly take your idea or will actually take your idea, and either way you can't get hung up on it, because getting hung up on it stops your career but doesn't stop them, you know.
Yeah, it's not the only idea. If it's the only idea you'll ever have, you aren't a great whatever you are.
You weren't going to make it anyways.
True.
So there's going to be other stuff that's got to be coming. So it's more about being prolific and getting to the point where, why would somebody steal your thing when they could just get you and have you, bolster that thing and create 10 other things?
Yeah, Kat's wonderful. Kat, the first time we had class with Kat O'Brien, she said, like, she instilled the idea in that class to us that nothing is precious. Like, you have no idea in your head that is going to, like, just immediately win an Oscar. Like, nothing that you're holding on to right now is going to be your Hamilton. And if it is, like, you're going to have to work 10 years on it, like Lin-Manuel Miranda did. It's not...
Exactly.
You're not cultivating Hamilton in your head right now.
Yeah, it's like nobody's first script is going to get sold. Mm-hmm. Like, as much as you may love what you end up creating out of this class, and, like, it's not going to happen. Even if it does happen, it's not going to happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what was it? J.J. Abrams, his first script was regarding Henry or something like that, and sold that one, and that became like a Harrison Ford movie. But that's you have to go back to fucking J.J. Abrams and regarding Henry to get something that's like a relevant example of that happening. It doesn't fucking happen. It's more likely you get a Seth Rogen character that climbs the ranks and then reverts back to the things that he wrote when he was in high school with a friend and punches up, Pineapple Express and Superbad and things like that, and makes them into movies that
makes these college short films into features,
right, and figures out how to grow that world out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's reiteration, a little bit by little bit. So you want to do TV? Is it show running or is it just writing for within somebody else's world?
I would want to create the worlds and then show run by credit, but not have to deal with those pressures, because just based on I listen to a lot of podcasts and interviews of showrunners that I admire, and boy do they love writing, and boy do they not like working, same as me, like work when you just want to be an idea person.
Yeah.
But that's not the way that the job works, so absolutely I want to be a showrunner, so that way I can be the person that's like, this show is about this.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to direct TV. That's my like that. I love being able to just pop in and do like 3 episodes of something and then pop back out,
Yeah.
Somebody like Bobcat Goldthwait or Jay Chandrasekhar or somebody like that just has that career where they come by, do 3 episodes of a series, and then walk away. Like, Chandrasekhar did 9 episodes of Community. So a bunch of episodes, and it's not like necessarily the banner ones that you think of, but still he came back for 9 episodes of, frankly, the greatest series in my mind. And he's done a bunch of other stuff too. New Girl, he did 7 episodes of that. Fresh off the boat, the Goldbergs. Yeah. He's done 18 episodes of Goldbergs.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the kind of career I would love to have. Just he's got a litany of these series that he's popped in and directed, and gets to walk away from, with having worked with those characters, worked in that world, had some fun with it, and then moved on to the next thing.
And he's always got Broken Lizard in his back pocket too.
That's always helpful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not only as the thing that boosts him, but as a return. Like, if you ever are, I think that's a great person to look up to. Yeah. If you're ever tired of writing television, just go back to Broken Lizard and make another great movie.
I had my fingers crossed so bad that he was going to come with the Broken Lizard guys when they came, but it was
they came here?
Yeah. So we had to reference Super Troopers, because that's the easy one, we had Rabbit, Foster, and Mac all came. Those three guys. Paul Soder, Steve Lemmy, and Eric Stolhansky. And they all came and did like a Q&A thing with us.
That's so cool.
But I was like, I like take it or leave it on Kevin Heffernan. I'm okay with that one. But I was hoping Chandra Sekhar was going to be there, because they were apparently all in town. They were doing the press tour for Super Troopers 2. And I was like, so sad when he wasn't there.
That'd have been cool.
Like, no, not to take away from the other guys, but that's like one of my directing idols.
Yeah. I think that you can tell a lot about somebody when you find out the kind of like they're like top 3 admirable entertainment people. Somebody that wants to be in the entertainment industry, at least. Yeah. It tells a lot, and that tells a lot. I think it's not a bad thing. I think that Jay is a very admirable person in what I know about him. I don't know anything bad about his personal life, which is always good in 2018. If you don't know,
he's a family
something,
guy. He's got kids and wife and kids and everything, and seems to be doing okay. By Hollywood standards.
By Hollywood standards.
It's always a nice little caveat you can put on that.
I think that we have a good time to come in. It seems like they're like wiping the slate clean with a lot of people, not just a generation of people dying, but a younger generation of people getting not really arrested, but like slapped on the wrist. I guess
there's the group ahead of us is getting thinned. The herd is being thinned.
Trimming the evil fat.
But it opens up doors. Yeah. No, I think that's true. And I'm still waiting for the first person out of this program to strike something big. Like, we've had a few people now get hired for different shows and are working on, known series now.
Oh yeah.
But we haven't had anybody. Debbie actually hired one of the one of the series she's developing now. A former graduate of the program, Alyssa, is working with her. Alyssa Wilden.
Very cool. Do you know what Alyssa is doing?
There's a press release. You can find it online. Especially if you go to the Harold Ramis page, they've got it on there because they like to advertise past successes for obvious reasons. But yeah, she's doing that. We've got a couple of people that are producing on different things. A lot of PAs on different projects. But I feel like eventually it's just going to be one person that sells a script or gets a showrunner spot for something or directs something that goes viral or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like in today's age, it seems like viral video or, viral video can go a couple ways, really. I feel like it's viral video or know somebody, but your viral video can be a festival winner that goes around and, gets some attention that way, or like I'm spacing her name right now. Miranda Sings, the character from the television show Haters Back Off, is a YouTube character created. And this YouTuber, Colleen Ballinger, I think, created this character as like, she worked at Disney and was making fun of some of the snooty girls that she worked with and would make these videos. And then it went viral and kept going and going. And she had enough views that she came up with a series idea and sold it to Netflix. And it got 2 seasons. And it's like you jump from Disney performer at Disney World to YouTube video maker to you have a show on Netflix. And now she's got that under her belt of like I think the show got canceled. It did get canceled at the end of season 2. So,
but even so, you got a show.
Exactly. You got a show, 2 seasons.
You're now an experienced creator that could go create the next thing, and theoretically, the next thing you're going to apply what you learned in the first one, and go bigger and bolder with it. But well, sweet. Well, all right. So, kind of wrapping up here. If people want to try and track you down, follow along, see what you're doing as the Yellow Cohort advances, where can they find you?
Quick plug, you can find me November 11th, 18th, and 25th of 2018 in in Judy's
Just in case you're listening to this years down the road.
Yeah, for those future listeners. November 11th, 18th, and 25th in Judy's Beat Lounge. It's a sketch show, Sequel Rights, that I'm producing. I'm directing some scenes in it. And then I wrote some of the scenes, and I'm performing in some of the scenes.
Nice. And what was it called?
Sequel Rights.
Sequel Rights. Okay.
Like secondary, you know?
Yeah.
Not as important sometimes.
Gotcha.
They're just as important, but people don't consider them. That's the whole idea. It's an equal rights themed sketch show.
All right.
You can find me on Facebook and YouTube, Haas Applesauce, Haas, Apple, SAAS, like a pun on my last name.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep.
Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on, man.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
And that was Matt Haas. Thank you to Matt and to the Harold Ramis Film School and the Second City staff for their help. The song on this week's episode was Wake Me Up by Derek Evry. Find more of Derek's killer music at derekevry.com. That's DerekEvry. This show is recorded and edited by me, Tony Lazzeroni. If you want to hear more from me and my classmates, my teachers, and a few special guests, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. If you have any questions or comments, send us an email at filmstudentpod@gmail.com or find us on Twitter and Instagram at filmstudentpod. And be sure to check out some of my and my classmates' work at filmstudentpod.com, where you can also find links to all of our past episodes. See you all next week. Class dismissed.